I'm going to talk about a collaborative topic model for users and text. So this is a joint work with my advisor at Princeton, David Blei. And I'm now at Baidu AI Lab. Okay, cool. So here's the outline. So I'm going to talk about, first I'm going to talk about the basics of topic modeling. Does this work? Okay. Then this basically covers like what is a topic model and what it can be used for. And then next we're going to talk about a collaborative topic models, which is a generalization of a basic topic modeling that simultaneously models users' behaviors and textual documents. So finally, I'm going to show a small demo that actually incorporates these ideas in these collaborative topic models, and so how you can use it for recommend scientific articles. Okay, great. So next, introduction to topic modeling. Okay, so we have lots of data, and sometimes, or maybe most of the time, it's not well organized. So as human beings, we do want to organize this data in some way so that we can actually, oops, sorry. Keep asking to join Xfinity Wi-Fi, which I don't need though. So basically, for example, Google search is an excellent example of how to organize your data. They index your data so that when you need something from the database or whatever their Google servers, then you just type a query, and you get something, and they will try to find the most relevant things on their end and then present it to you. That's very useful. But sometimes there was other kind of like a task. It's kind of be difficult for Google to finish, to actually, to present in useful ways to you. For example, suppose that you want to study a subject, like say how to raise a good kid. You may just get say 2,000 documents about this subject, but you can type some queries to find something in it. But the problem sometimes is kind of really hard to even start with a query. So in this case, we may need some kind of tools that actually help us to organize the data and give us some kind of summarization, and also like help us to find hidden patterns inside of this data, or maybe provide some other ways to visualize this data. So topic modeling is actually kind of this tool that can help us to organize this kind of data. Say you want to study some kind of a subject, or maybe say another example could be like, say you are a patent attorney, you want to study a patent, then you go to this patent search, you find like thousands of patents that are related to this patent. How do you do with it? So topic modeling is kind of a tool like that, so that you can use it to summarize the data, finding patterns, and visualize your data. Okay, so that's sort of the basic of what topic modeling can be used for. Oops, sorry about it.
Sorry, can you talk into the mic a little bit more?
Oh, okay. There were apparently lots of work around the topic modeling. So here was some of my work that give you some real examples. So what topic modeling can be used for. Okay, so here is we actually generalize a topic model to help you organize the textual document in some kind of like tree-based hierarchy. For example, in the root node, there is a general concept that we extracted from this data. It's about government, I think. And then if you go deeper into the tree leaves, you see more specific concept about the government. So there's another example with image data that we use a topic model to make predictions on class labels and annotations. Basic class label can be thought as a scene label, and annotations can be the objects within this image. So certainly this is not the state of the art anymore. So this is very far from actually very far from it. But this is an example that you can use topic modeling for this kind of task. Another example could be like a document recommendation. Say you get some usage data with users reading history, so we can do some kind of like a document recommendation for one particular user. Or say you get the playlist or whatever, this like playlist for some users, you can do like music recommendations for that particular year. For example, like if you like Gangnam Style, you might like some other songs by the same artist, that type of thing. So final example I show you is like, suppose you got some kind of like network data, you can use like a topic modeling like model. It's not exactly a topic model, but the idea behind it is very similar to discover like overlapping communities. Sorry about it. I might just turn off the Wi-Fi, I think. So where's Wi-Fi? I don't see it. Oh, anyway, so let's keep that. So for example, on the left-hand side, you got a co-author network. Basically, you know, I wrote a paper with some other people, and some other people wrote another paper with another person, and then so this model helps you discover like overlapping communities among these authors. For example, if I work on topic modeling before, and now I work on, say, deep learning, and then I could belong to 2 research communities. And these models, based on this network data, help us discover these kind of communities. Okay, that finished the examples. So here comes to a little bit like, you know, more formal formulation. What is a topic model? Okay, so here, there's one basic assumption behind the topic model is a document can have multiple topics. So, you know, imagine a topic. Suppose that we have, the word has 3 topics. So, you know, the yellow one and, I don't know, say that, the right one, say, a blue one. And, you know, so, and a document, say this document is about like seeking life's, what is it, I can't see that, bare genetic. And then this document have this, talk about these 3 topics. So, but they don't, so these 3 topics do not necessarily have the same like popularity within this document.
You gotta use the mic.
Oh, sorry about it. Yeah, I always forgot it. So basically, let me just repeat it. So suppose we have the word has 3 topics, and you want to, you know, write a document with these 3 topics. How would you do it? So you basically assume that a document has some kind of proportions over these 3 topics, but not necessarily the same proportion. For example, in this example, you have the, you know, a little bit higher proportion for that yellow topic means this document it's talking about this topic more than the other 2. So that's basically the basic assumption within a topic model. So here is a more kind of like a, I wouldn't say it's a mathematical formulation. It's a more kind of like a more formal formulation. What it's like, how would you actually form a model like this? So here a little bit like a math here. So basically, you know, we use a graphical model representation here. So basically, the node beta represent a topic. Then the plate with the number k represent how many topics we have in this model. Say we have 3 topics, then k is 3 here. Then now it comes to a document. How do we model this document? We just talked about in the previous slide is we use a topic proportion to model this document. Basically say, you know, we got this topic proportion for this document. Basically says that this document is talking about the green topic, which is over there, more than our 2 topics. Sorry, I think I forgot one concept is here a topic is like a set of words they co-occur very often together, so that when you put them together and then sort of they mean something, like for human beings, then this actually represented by a multinomial distribution over your vocabulary. Basically, those words with high probabilities, they tend to occur together in the same documents. So, you know, now we get this topic proportions for this document. So, but how do we actually get this topic proportions? We actually going to the words in this document and sort of like color each word with their appropriate colors. For example, if we have a higher proportion for the green topic, then we're going to color a lot more words with green color than other words. That's basically, you know, how you think of how a topic model you know, represent in your mind. So unfortunately, those colors were not there because the moment you get your documents, only the words you see. So there's a process called inference, which actually, you know, recover all these colors and their words orderings given the collection of documents. Okay, so here's an example that we actually run this inference on a 17,000 articles from CiteULike. basically we run a top 200 topic model, 200 topic LDA model for this data set. So this data set has 1.6 million words, and the size of vocabulary I sort of truncated to 8K. So this is kind of annoying, yeah. So these are the learned topics. Basically, remember those colored topics, and these are actually the actual learned topics. That basic. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. You just started answering my question.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you. So these are the words that I actually learned from those set of documents. Basically, it means that, for example, on the right-hand side, there's a topic about classifier, but that the both words, actually the labels I assigned to this topic, they don't. The topic model, does not really generate a label for you, but it generates at least the words that tend to co-occur together. For example, those words, learning, machine, training, vectors. If you know a little bit of machine learning, then sort of this kind of thing is about how you train a classifier. If you want to train a classifier, you turn to look for this type of words. There's other words that are kind of similar things. From probability, if you know this kind of words, you always use to write something about probability. And here is the topic proportions. For example, here's one document which is the PageRank citation ranking, which is a very popular, very famous article. So when you analyze these topic proportions, it looks like it has higher topic proportions on those blue topic and the red topic. The red topics, yes. So basically it talks about like how you rank a document and talk about how you do something like web pages, things like that. But it has a very low topic proportion for the last topic you saw here. Maybe it's not, this document actually is not talking about this thing. Here's another example. It's a kind of famous paper about how you estimate the parameter within a model with latent variables. So this paper seems to be focused on particularly on how you do parameter estimation. So the other two topics listed here, although relevant, but they don't really talk about this topic. So basically, that's how you get if you run a topic model. That's a very basic topic model, but there were lots of generalizations of this model. So you probably get a little bit more than this if you actually use some kind of like a more specific models than this one. Okay. So I think now we have the basic knowledge to actually generalize a basic RDA model to actually model user behavior in the text documents. Okay, so people read documents. That's why that's why the documents are created for, right? But maybe not in the future. I'm not sure. But right now, like people read documents. So specifically, this application, this model is created for scientific articles. But I think it can be generalized to other documents, to other data set or applications. But right now, it seems this kind of data, at least for me, is easier to get. But maybe some other data I don't have access to. So we basically look at the CiteULike data and Mendeley data. So this is kind of like two websites provide like a web service so that you can actually upload your like personal libraries that you're reading histories to their website. And so we hope to use this type of data to actually to tell us how people read the documents. You want to read a document with a kind of a goal in mind. It's not, you don't just randomly scan some documents for whatever reason you want to read something that's actually interesting to you. So given this data, we hope to help people to find documents they are interested in. There are three goals here, but kind of like it's kind of vague here, but I think will be get clear later on. So and then we want to learn what document mean to people who read them. So for a document I read it, and the same document you read it, maybe we want to get different things. So we want to also learn the behavior of people reading the documents, and then using these behaviors we can use for these kind of recommendations, for example. So here is basically the data we have. It's just like a screenshot from their website. For them, this is one of the users. It has like 266 articles in his library or in her library, and then we can use the data we can use here is, or I use here is the title and abstract of these articles. There were a lot more information than that. So for example, the author of these documents, and there was some other like where it's published, the one is published. But in this particular model, I just haven't have a chance to use those kind of metadata, which actually I think will be very useful too. So this is just another example of Mendeley data. So it's pretty much similar setup, but they may have different like other set of like functions on their individual website. Sorry about it. It just keeps coming. And so, okay, so here is the basic collaborative topic model. By the way, feel free to ask any questions if you have. So here is how it works. So remember that we have a, the EM paper. Actually, we just talked about in the beginning. So those two examples I saw here. This is one of those examples. So if we analyze the content of this article, we see that this article is mostly about statistic concepts. Basically, this is for this sort for that topic, which is more about the parameter estimation in statistical models. And suppose we only have two groups of people, like statistic and the recent researchers. So given this content of this article, we probably just want to recommend this paper, to statistical people, which I think it's kind of reasonable because that's the thing that's basically the audience, the author of the paper want this paper, probably on this paper too. Go ahead.
Could you just explain how the topic modeling works? Is it correlation coefficient of certain words, or are you using some other, is it a generic model?
So the basic idea, so there one assumption in topic model is like, so I think the question is, want me to explain how the topic model works in general, right? Or
yeah, which model you're using?
So think about a basic LDA model. So the basic LDA model that I just talked about in the very beginning. So the reason it works is like basically you assume that the same, say two words tend to occur very together. So in the same document. So say A and B occurs in this document, and A and B occurred in another document, and then A and C occur in another document, and
it's like the Google Ngram.
Not exactly. So here is how it works. Basically, say, let's say we have two topics. Then we say AB occurs in lots of documents, and AC occur in another set of lots of documents. So basically, if you create a two-topic model, it turns to separate AB as a topic and AC as a topic, so that when you're actually trying to estimate the probability of these observations, that turns to give you a higher probability. But if you just give ABC as a single topic, it tends to be lower probabilities because ABC, they don't usually occur together. And that's the basic intuition there. But there were some other mathematical details that actually makes this happen.
Like hammer and nail usually go together.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But maybe hammer also occur with some other context that may create a separate topic for hammer. Yeah. So basically, in this case is like this EM paper used lots of words from statistics. But they don't use many words about computer vision. For example, they never mention an image in this paper. So in practically, you don't really see like a topic about computer vision that will be assigned to this particular document. However, as more and more people read this paper, it seems that this paper is also very useful in the context of computer vision. So how do we interpret this behavior? Because this paper is a useful technique that can be used in lots of computer vision models. So then this type of user behavior changed the way we should look at this paper. Although this paper is not about computer vision, but maybe when we consider doing some recommendations, we should recommend this paper to computer vision people because the technique presented in this paper is useful in that area. But that doesn't say that all statistical papers are important to vision people, because maybe there's another statistical paper use kind of like similar words as this paper, but the idea present in that paper is not really generalizable. So maybe it probably is good within that community, but is not very popular outside their communities. So this kind of user behavior, reading behavior, tells us how these papers or articles behave outside their own particular topics or within their own topics. So I will give some examples how that works. Okay. So now that's the basic idea for collaborative topic model. Actually pretty simple. So given this user behavior, we want to do some analysis so that we can recommend this paper to both statistical people and vision people. So how do we do that? It's actually a pretty simple combination. So remember that we use this topic proportions to represent documents. So that's the basic of a topic model. And then we add one thing. We call a correction vector to this document, to this topic proportions that we think will account for the behavior of users. Then we use this summed vector as the final representation for the users. Okay. So for example, for some very popular or maybe very popular documents, if it's popular also outside their own field, you may see a big correction vector. Oops, sorry about it. This keeps coming. Why? It seems like in my computer. So if it's very popular outside their own particular topic, you may see a big correction to account for that. But for some other very popular articles, but if it's only within their own particular topic, you won't see actually big correction vector. Although the user behavior kind of tell you that you should do this particular topic, but because it's already within your content information, there's no need to add a correction. Okay, so here is the model. It's a little bit involved, but the basic idea is on the top is a topic model we saw in the very beginning, and on the bottom is actually a kind of like a simple matrix factorization model to do recommendation. Okay, hello? That didn't seem to work. Anyway, so I will just speak loud maybe. So basically, this model we just work like this. Oh, thank you. Oh, hello? Okay, good. So the top is a topic model, and the bottom is a matrix factorization model. It doesn't seem to work anyway. Hello? Okay. Anyway, so the bottom is a matrix factorization model. The way we connect these two models is it magically works, I think. Is actually use a correction vector to connect the topic proportions and the user and the article preference, which I didn't show here, unfortunately. So this is a model that sorry, hello? This is a model that we presented in KDD 2011. But recently there is a new model which actually, although they also use almost the same graphical model, but they have a much better formulation of the same idea.
I'm sorry. Can you explain the correction vector? Is that unsupervised? I'm sorry.
So the correction vector is like this weird. Sometimes works, sometimes not. Yeah. It's kind of challenging for me because it makes me want to adapt my own voice to this thing. Okay, so the correction vector works like this. Suppose that we run a topic model on a set of documents without user behavior. Then we get a topic proportion which is stated there. We use theta to represent a topic proportions. And so how do we get this correction vectors? So if we use these topic proportions to do recommendations, sometimes we may get very low, very bad, results, for example. And let's say, for example, if we observe, say this article is actually read by many computer vision researchers, but if we only use its topic proportions, we won't make that happen, because if we only look at the content of this document, we can only recommend it to statistical people. So how do we make this paper also appealing to vision people? So that correction vector actually plays a role here, is actually artificially add a vision topic to this document, and we use this combined representation, which is on the right-hand side, to do recommendations. So that's basically the user behavior tells us we should correct this document, so it has more topics than it has in this document. That's what we call it, the correction vector here. Okay, so here's some experiments that we run. So we have two data sets. One is CiteULike, it's a bit small, and the Mendeley data is kind of large, but maybe small, in today's standards still, like does not really exceed 10 million yet. Okay, so we do two type of recommendations, and so the reason we do this is we want to separate two scenarios so that we can do a fair comparison. So the first type of recommendation is we call in-matrix prediction. Basically, we observe a user and article matrix, and all the articles in this matrix have at least read by one users. In the second type of recommendation, we call it auto-matrix prediction. Basically, you got some like completely new articles, maybe just posted on archive or just published, then you don't have any user information about those articles. You don't know who is going to read so you don't know who has read this article. Okay, so those are the two type recommendations. So so these are the results we have from two data sets. We compare with two baselines. One baseline model is the LDA model, which is we don't use user behavior, we just use the topic proportions to the recommendation. And then the next baseline is MF, it's a matrix factorization model. We don't use textual information, we just use simply a user item matrix, like the general matrix factorization for recommendation does. Then we compare with these two models. Just to point out is for out of matrix prediction, you don't have this Xfinity Wi-Fi. So you don't have those matrix factorization for the auto matrix prediction, because those new documents, you don't have any user information, so there's no way to make a prediction on that in that setting. But anyway, so for the in-matrix prediction, we see that our model for they use both the information from the documents and the user's information kind of perform the best compared with two other models, compare better than other two models. This is on the first data set. So here on the second data set, which is a Mendeley data set, so again, this model is sort of the best model, but as you can see that there's actually flipping between, on the left-hand side, the flipping between the blue curve and the green curve. So the reason is because this Mendeley data there are just so many documents in this data set, but the user information actually kind of sparse. So it kind of really relies on more textual information to make a recommendation.
So that outer matrix set is roughly the same as LDA, which is why it's using the same methodology.
That's right. Yeah,
It's almost exactly the same.
it's almost like the same, yeah, because you don't use your user information in that setting.
Right.
Okay, so we could end here. We propose a new model to do some recommendations. We get some better results. Then we can publish the paper. That could be something like that. But at the very beginning, I said the topic model actually provides some kind of ways to organize the data to discover hidden patterns. So we don't really want to stop there.
I'm sorry, what was the difference between the Mendeley data and the CiteULike data?
Okay, good question. Yeah. So the Mendeley data is a lot larger. So it contains a lot more documents. So yeah, so unfortunately, and this is like a kind of small data set, and also the sparsity, the Mendeley is a lot more sparse than CiteULike data. Partly because maybe because the Mendeley was founded later than the CiteULike, so they don't have that user base. And maybe they have it right now, probably get better results. So, go ahead.
When you think of LDA as a generative model, right, it's much easier to visualize it when you're visualizing it from the other side of things. That there are these topics, there's this Dirichlet distribution that chooses one topic, and then another distribution which chooses the whole from the topic and generates a document, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that picture is clear. Now, when you talk about inserting that extra thing about vision, a lot of people who are interested in vision are looking at that document, and how do we reconcile that into the model?
Yeah, so there were some examples. I think we'll partially answer that question. If that's still not clear, I'll probably give you more information. Okay, so here's an article we just saw. You know, maybe it was saw a few times, I think, in this talk. Okay, so here is the actual topic proportion for this document from that data set, for CiteULike data set. For example, it has a very high topic proportion for parameter estimation, and has somehow a little bit lower topic proportion for algorithms optimization. That's actually the topics for this document. If you run a basic FDA model, it would be similar like this. But if we actually add the user information, if I use our model to actually generate the topic proportions for this document, then you actually can see the corrections that we add to this document. Basically, those blue topics, it seems to read to the position. I hold it. So those blue topics are actually those like corrections we add to this document. Basically, it says that this document is not about the Bayesian. If you read this paper, you know, this paper is nothing about Bayesian. There's no single Bayesian word. There's no posterior whatsoever. But you know, people read this paper. You know, people who like a Bayesian method also read this paper, because the idea in this paper is actually generalizable to lots of different models, including Bayesian models. So that's why we got these topic proportions that I corrected or added to this particular document. I'm not sure that's answered your question. So the idea is, so this topic proportion was changed by the user behavior by adding more topics, or maybe sometimes not adding more even. So here's another example. This example shows that it does not really add anything new to this particular document. This document is basically about that particular topic, the words that colored in red. But even we have lots of users that read this document, but you don't see much correction. Maybe just the only thing you see is there's a scale change for this one existing topic. The reason is there is some like a scaling effect for ratings. So the model that I mentioned here, the bottom model actually I think it fixed that. Okay. So there's some more thing we can do with the results. So given this model, we can actually look at the posterior estimates or whatever, the parameter estimates. We can find a widely read article in the field, or can find articles that are widely read in other fields. Or there's third thing we can do is we can find some articles from other fields that are widely read in this field. So here's an example. So there is a particular topic about like maximum likelihood, based on parameter estimation of using maximum likelihood, and then you can use these results to actually discover those articles like this. So the red article is basically about this topic, but also very popular in this topic. Basically means these articles are very popular in this area. And it's the blue articles are kind of like, it's also about this topic, but also very popular in other fields. So these articles kind of like have a more influence in other fields as well, because maybe the idea in there is so useful, or maybe for some other reasons. So the last 3 articles is not about this topic. They don't really talk about parameter estimate in these papers, but it's actually popular in this area because this idea is maybe useful in this area as well. So this sort of thing you can discover from the results. There's another example. The networks is about network science, sorry, and it's about a similar type of results you can find is the red articles about this topic, but it's also popular in this topic. But basically, it tells you that you can use these results or use these modeling results to help to find the particular aspect that is kind of like different for this article from other articles. Basically, these are 3 types of things you can do. I can imagine there might be some other things you can do with these results, but but this thing is kind of like the immediate thing you can do. Okay, so talking about this collaborative topic models. So we recently have a paper about kind of a similar idea, but to analyze a different type of data. Is to analyze this network data. For example, this is based on this English Wikipedia data. The idea is, say you analyze the English Wikipedia data using a topic model, but how about we consider the links between these articles? So we can think of the links as kind of like a readership. For example, if I link to you, then I kind of like you some way. I want to read you, or maybe we have some kind of relationship among us. And that kind of the information we see in the collaborative topic models that the users. So basically, we hope to find a similar effect in this type of data, so that we can use the similar correction idea in this network data. It turns out it's kind of a pretty similar findings, so that the topics within the documents that can be corrected by the links information. So I would think there might be some other information can be used in a similar way, so that when you try to analyze your document collections, when you have extra information or kind of user behavior or kind of this information to explain how this document could actually shift from its original meanings. So that's the basic I think take-home message about this model is. Basically, when you try to analyze a document, some other information may actually affect the way you should look at its data. Okay, so the summary of this model is I think 3 things. It's actually blend a content-based and rating-based recommendation into a single model, and it can be used to discover patterns in how people read and how documents are read. And it can suggest the new ways of doing document recommendations. So here's the new way. I'm not sure it's quite new, but let me just do a demo here. Yeah, kind of weird. It doesn't really describe the correct resolution. Can make it better. Okay, cool. Okay, so this is a recommender system for scientific articles. This user interface, I think, is pretty bad because I didn't really spend time on it. So here is the panel. Is basically, suppose you are one of the users. And this is the user ID, 3311. Then I want to, say, show me 10 recommended articles. So what actually does is there were, this is the user panel, and then this panel is this, the user interest panel. What it does is it represents the user interest using the topic models. What it does is like this. So these are the weights. These are higher weights about meaning this particular user 3311 is very interested in this particular topic. It's about the classifier type of thing. And also kind of interested in this online classification of digital libraries whatsoever, and then less interested in other topics. So and here are some recommendations. Like, oops. I hope it's the last one, I think. So what it does is like it give you some recommendations based on this user interest. So as you can see that, this is about the classification article, basically how do you combine labeled data with unlabeled data using some algorithm called co-training. It's being how to train classifier using unlabeled data.
These are all other documents. These are other documents that you can link to, right? Yeah, those.
I don't think it works now because I don't have.
There are articles that you can go into.
That's the article you can do, yeah. So, and then these are the actual articles in his library. So I grabbed it from the CiteULike data. So for this particular user. So one nice thing about visualize its interests is like this. So you can do is, for example, today I just don't, maybe this topic is not really popular anymore. Nobody wants to train classifier anymore. So let's just forget about it. And then we can actually turn this off. And then actually it can run some online recommendations so that when you ignore some interactions with this interest, kind of like this topic that you are no longer interested in, but you can also it's sort of like take account of like the rest of your interest into the account to make recommendations. For example, because you don't really want to learn classifier anymore, but there are some other things you maybe want to read given the rest of your interest. For example, maybe suppose this is something you want to do now. This is about like the last topic is about like there's in the bioinformatics there's quite a bit of literature about how to do like data mining to find efficient ways of like doing something like DNA stuff. I can't remember exactly those things, but there's entire literature about like using text mining algorithms to do like a bioinformation discovery. So suppose that you want to learn something about that, you can actually turn it on. So what it actually does is actually consider this a new topic, but also consider your existing interest. So that sort of like make this transition a little bit smooth so that you don't really bump into something that's completely new. So this actually sort of like make this transition maybe a little bit better for some of the users. So here is basically some simple thing you can do for recommending like documents with a collaborative topic model. But I think there might be something new for some other things you can do, but I don't really have time to implement those things yet. So okay, so I think that's it. So there's a very last thing is I'm just joined by the AI lab. So if you're interested in joining there, let me know. We're hiring lots of people. Go ahead.
Can you see this technique going beyond, like it should be able to go beyond the scientific?
I think so, yeah.
Your corpus could be business articles from Wired, Fast Company, also technical papers, also GitHub accounts.
It could be, yeah.
Who you are, maybe I am the MD of a company and I don't want to understand all the details, but I want to learn what topic modeling is in general. What are the most trending things that people are doing with topic modeling? So I get like some high-level articles.
Yes,
and,
yes.
Maybe I'm a data scientist interested in reading papers, so I get like the papers. And I'm saying this in a very broad way, but it could be personalized in more detail.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's good. Actually, good thing to mention. Yeah. So, so here, this is another example, like using to apply the same idea into network data. But I think if there is some kind of other information that like maybe GitHub account type of thing, that maybe this guy forked that account, but when you analyze their own like personal like repositories, you kind of analyze why they fork this this kind of like a particular information.
Has a GitHub account. Then
You're right.
You probably want to show them a link to the code first.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think it kind of can go beyond this particular data set, but exactly how we do that, I'm not sure yet.
I think I'm familiar with Mendeley, and I think the people who actually when join there, they put some tag on themselves. Like I'm a computer vision person, I'm like a machine learning person. So what if you have other data set where user when they come here, they don't have any tag on that cell. Kind of implementation, how can we protect what to do?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, so those are kind of like additional like metadata information. But unfortunately, in this particular model, we didn't really use it. But I think those are actually very useful when you actually make recommendations. There might be kind of way that you want to incorporate in this model, in some way, so that they're actually useful for making recommendations. For example, maybe in this particular model, you can actually model the user in some way that actually consider those metadata. For example, like a very, 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 very dumb model is like, okay, so let's just use user preference and then concatenate existing features as another, like a type of like information. And that's basically what you can do. But I think you can definitely go beyond than that. Yeah. That's a very good question. Yeah. So I think the best way probably just in this particular model, we did with like cross validation because we do have a sort of gold data set for recommendation, like top 10. I think we use top 5 recall here. I think I can't remember maybe top 5 or top 10. I can't remember exactly. Then we basically we use cross validation to actually pick the sort of the best number of topics and the best parameters for this particular model. But in general, that's a very hard problem for running a topic model. Is like there's not really a good way of selecting a number of topics. Yeah, but. Mm-hmm.
Even if you take users out of the picture, you're initially going through your article.
I'm sorry?
If you take users out of the picture and you're going through your articles initially, I guess my question starts there, which is how many topics do you start off with?
How many topics?
Users come to the picture later, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can sort of correlate the users with the article. Don't you have to initially have some sort of model on the articles?
Yeah, yes, that's right. Yes. So in this particular data set, you can, for a collection of documents, you can have like maybe hundreds of topics to actually capture the entire corpus. But for one particular document, usually it's a bit sparse. So usually a document does not have too many topics. But that's basically per assumption of a topic model. You actually want fewer topics for a particular document. If a document contains too many topics, it's probably not a good document. It just covers too much.
Yes. How do you go about deciding that?
How do you go what?
How do you go about deciding that?
So, for example, like, okay, so here is one example. Okay, sorry, there's another example here. Okay, so so here, this is a particular document about the EM paper we talk about, and there in this particular document collection, we actually run a 500 topic model, which is actually on the right end of axis. So what you actually seen is lots of the topics actually very off. Basically they don't have any information in this document, and those estimated topic proportions actually represent the topics in this document. So basically, you see these red bars actually the topic is actually mentioned in this document. That's how it decided. It decided by the inference process. Like you basically have some data and then run your model, and those are automatically determined.
So what are the other use cases for topic modeling besides recommendation?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think there are lots of like visualizations, like can be based on topic modeling. So, for example, you want to discover, there is lots of use in this, like a network domain to analyze like co-authors, like find the communities that I mentioned in the beginning. So, and also people use it for doing like a gene discovery to find correlations. So, and also people also use it for some other as the discovery of like topic proportions as features, as some kind of like maybe some future prediction task.
Classification or
So usually it's not very, yeah, it can be used for classification, but usually the experience is like usually it's not very good just for classification. If you just use this as features, use does not return to perform worse than a like a purely discriminative algorithms. So one thing you can do is use this as additional features. If you just want a classifier, I wouldn't recommend to use this. So
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the answer.
so basically, if you just want to doing a classifier, then you probably won't want to use.
The original question. What other use cases?
So like find communities.
Find communities.
Yeah. So doing gene discoveries, correlation of genes.
Correlation.
Yeah. So those sort of things.
Discovery and correlation.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was a lot of like visualizations. I think there were some like firms use these some ideas to find pattern correlations. So I think my advisor is doing some kind of those consulting to those companies, but like exactly how they do it, I'm not sure. But there might be some use cases like this. I think one thing is I heard from him is they actually use these kind of algorithms to actually reduce the amount of like work of lawyers to a substantial amount of time to those things. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know either. But those sort of like use cases here. So basically, it's like you want to consider scenario like you want to do some like exploratory analysis. Those are the applications, the top model will work the best. Okay, I think that's it.